And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Excellent job answering all of my questions that I thought I was going to ask. So the latest and newest one is maybe more of an observation with a question tied to it. Parenting. I'm blessed.
We don't recommend it.
I missed that recommendation 17 years ago.
Oh, we don't mean don't have kids. We mean leave them alone once they're here. Because usually what happens is you just entice them away from their own guidance as you were enticed away from your guidance, and you see where it has left you all.
Well, where it left me, having been parented myself, was in a very satisfied place.
Good.
And now I find parenting incredibly easy, as my satisfaction is theirs and theirs is mine, and we play in that.
And so?
And so
we agree with all of that. We think it's wonderful. Here's a simple, very doable and helpful phrase. Talk to your children all the time, but only when you are in the receiving mode. So you can sort of sort that out. In other words, make sure what receiving mode you're in before you parent. And so often parents don't parent from the tuned in, tapped in, turned on receiving mode, where they're getting information from their inner being and from the inner beings of their children. Most parents parent when something's gone wrong and they're under the influence of something else. Yes? So why did you want to talk about this?
Probably, now that I'm here and thinking about it, I want to talk about it because recently my mother moved in with me after breaking her leg, and she got a one-way ticket from New Jersey to Michigan, and she lives with me and my wife and our beautiful 3 daughters. And parenting with a capital P is now going in many directions in my household. Grandparenting, the realization that children parent their parents, and it's there's a lot of two-way streetness.
Well, basically, if everyone would just stop trying to boss everyone else around, it would be a nicer state of being, wouldn't it? So you have some specific questions?
I think I don't. Others do.
You just came here to stir things up?
Well, to share what you started with, which was the satisfaction that has been my experience all along.
Yeah.
And now the continuation of that as one of my children is with me, and we are getting to another level of being able to communicate and share this whole experience.
Everything about life here in your physical bodies is about co-creating. And relationships are so essential. But the one thing that could improve every relationship is just a keen awareness that the relationship between you and your inner being is so important to be predominant. And that once you've got that managed, then every other relationship will be easy. But if you are letting any other relationship need to be something that it isn't, in order for you to feel the wholeness of who you are, then it's just going to be a bumpy ride. And so children, for the most part, are born in that alignment. And the confusion around parenting is that human parents often think that they've walked down the road longer and that they have much to share, and they want to guide their children. But most parenting comes from parents who want to guide them when they're under the influence of something other than source. And so that's why there is a generational perpetuation of dysfunction. You could call it feelings of unworthiness, or feelings that you need to perform or fit in or whatever. And so sometimes when we have these conversations, it feels to people like, well, we've already come too far and we've already gotten off on the wrong foot, and how can we bring this back into alignment? But the thing that is so important to know is that every person that you know, whether they are your children or someone else's, whether they are your parents, every person has an inner being who knows this for sure. Every inner being knows about every physical human being, where they are standing in relationship to everything that they have become and everything that they desire. And those inner beings, working collectively and individually, are all offering continual inspiration that you could call the path of most allowance or the path of least resistance, because it's the same path. The path of most receiving or the path of resistance of not receiving. In other words, how much are you hearing? So if you get it, that all inner beings know, and so you let your role as someone who might be wanting to parent your parent, or someone who might be wanting to parent your children, you know that your role is to do anything that you can do to help them understand that they have an inner being, understand that they have guidance, and understand that that guidance is available to them. And the only way that you can do that is through the clarity of your own example. You have to know it, you have to believe it, and know it, and demonstrate it. And so when you are moving around this planet and you are primarily in the receiving mode, which means you are primarily in the satisfied all the way to ecstasy mode, and people realize that that's who you are, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, even when they come to you for advice, which they would expect to get from someone stable like you, when your advice is, I'm not the spewer of advice for you, but I can show you where to get it, so that you demonstrate your receptive mode and encourage theirs, then nobody's mad at anybody, because you're not trying to boss anybody around. You're turning and tuning them to their own guidance. And here's the biggest statement that we could ever make ever. Satisfaction comes from only one place. Only one place. From setting forth an intention which your inner being has embraced fully, and then moving in the direction of that intention. So no one gets satisfaction from jumping through hoops that somebody else has set out for them. And while you might have lulled yourself into believing that when others approve of you or appreciate you or applaud for you, that that's just a wonderful thing, and we're not saying that it isn't wonderful, we're just saying don't look there for your true satisfaction. Look to your alignment with your own inner being and teach that every chance you get. Just look for opportunities to soothe people into their own alignment, to believe in people into their alignment, and to see the value of people into their alignment. But don't ever leave them believing that the reason they feel that way is because of your gaze. It isn't. It's you're guiding them to their alignment. Satisfaction comes from this blending with source, period. Helpful?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Something more?